Okay, Nick and Andy, the news is out. Greg Berhalter has been fired by the US men's national team after a huge failure in the Copa America this summer, not to get out of the group stage. It was coming, it was expected, it's been confirmed by US Soccer. And now Nick Mendola, all eyes are on who should be the next manager of the US men's national team. What's your initial thought? Because we talked about this recently, the dream scenario, who we really want to come in. But I guess there's some realities and kind of situational things we have to take into kind of the thinking here. But I think if it was just to purely pick this coach guy, we'd probably all pick the same man who's available right now.
That's correct. It's Jurgen Klopp.
100%.
With the exception of the fact that he's not American, which doesn't matter. But I mean, I'm saying in the perfect scenario, Jurgen Klopp is American and he played for the national team and blah, 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 because that's the way people like to see it. But there's just no better choice. There isn't. If every manager in the world were unemployed, he's still number one. And he doesn't have a job and he wants to take it easy right now. And let's be honest, he's a football obsessive, so he'd watch tons and tons of games, but he doesn't have to leave Spain except to watch the players who are based abroad and to coach when their games are here. And there's going to be friendlies against Canada, New Zealand. I mean, honestly, it's not as unrealistic as people think, except for maybe the money. It just really isn't. Think about it. You want to coach in a World Cup at some point in your life if you're a manager. And the runway is 700 days. Would you trade 700 days of your coaching career to potentially become an icon in a gigantic country like the U.S.? I think he might.
The issue I might have with Klopp is I don't know how well suited he is to being an international coach, maybe right now in his career. I think that he enjoys the day-to-day of being involved in a club situation. Yes, but he needs a break. He's already said that. I'm with you, Nick. He is the right man for the job. I think the big names, you can mention all of the big names, and why not dream big? Why not go?
We'll schedule more games. We will schedule Jurgen Klopp more games. We've watched Slovenia's C team in an off window play against MLS second 11 guys. We'll get him games, Joe. We'll get him games. We'll get him a house. We'll get him his own jet. We'll do this. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I think it might just be a bit too early for him, like in his managerial career, to be an international coach. That's the only downside. Like the timing just hasn't quite worked out. But I mentioned all those other big names, and it's not outlandish. We're talking about US soccer. We're talking about the great, potential that we all see in the US and have seen, and where it's going, the game, and a home World Cup in 2026. And that is attractive to absolutely every single football man. I don't care how big you are. So the US should be thinking big here and dreaming big and going, you know what? We back ourselves. Things aren't as bad as it looks. We are still a top 15 nation right now, even though things haven't gone as well as we thought. And we can get to that next step. But they need to make a huge appointment here. And not just a name for a name. I get it. But these guys are big names for a reason. They've delivered. Great coaches will get the right people around them. And now more than ever feels like the perfect time for US soccer to go, we will spend huge money on the right guy. He's going to be the most important person for the men's national team. And let's go all in and see what happens.
That all sounds great, Joe. I love where your head is at. But my feelings about US soccer and my expectations for US soccer just don't quite meet that. And what I think a lot of people are feeling right now, because after Greg Berhalter was brought back, there was an opportunity to go in a different direction and get a new voice and new ideas in there. They decided that he was the right voice and had the right ideas, and that proved to be clearly not true. And so my prevailing thought as soon as this news came out was, wow, this is a big hire, and it could go any one of 100 different directions. And that means different names. That means different outcomes. It's a lot of responsibility at probably the most important time in the sports history in this country. So there's a lot riding on it. Not to put any more pressure, on the decision to make a big hire like this, but it could go really well if someone like Klopp comes in, but at the same time, it could go more poorly because of what is at stake over these next 2 years. And I can't help but feel like this is bad timing to be in the coaching market for the U.S. men's national team because, one, most of the big names like we're talking about already have a club job for next season. Klopp has pretty clearly stated he wants to take a year off. You might find some other names who'd be willing to take the job for a year next summer if they only have to commit 1 year to it to have that experience of managing at a World Cup on home soil for the U.S., but they're not going to be looking at that time. I don't think they can waste a year of kind of just familiarizing everybody with a new voice and new ideas. So they're in a tough spot, I think, and I just don't have the most confidence in the world that they're going to make the right decision, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course. And I think US Soccer, the technical director, Matt Crock, has obviously come out, spoken to reporters and said, we want a serial winner. We don't think that, investment will be an issue when it comes to this coach, but did admit, there are maybe limitations at the very, very top level and finances and situations that I don't want to say out of the reach, but they said they're gonna go for it. But what that means, we'll wait and see. But Nick, I think when we look at that kind of comment, then we shouldn't rule out anybody, right? We look at guys right now who are available, like Pochettino, Thomas Tuchel. They should all really be in this conversation. But again, like Klopp and like Andy just mentioned, it might not be the right time for them to be hired. So I'm just intrigued because Crocker also said, maybe I have like a backup plan, a contingency plan that would be decent if that comes to that. So there seems to be some kind of belief, if it is Jurgen Klopp, if it is someone else, that there may be an interim kind of situation here. But it's a bit of a mess, the timing of this, when we had Greg Berhalter out of contract, and that seemed like a great opportunity. A lot of big coaches were available then. And it seems like now the US is kind of scurrying to right that wrong, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, get out of your own way. That's the whole story. Get out of your own way. You shouldn't have to, and this is, listen, we've all been involved in communication, so I don't have any beef with the people who wrote the sentence. But when you say something like, oh, Greg Berhalter became the first national team manager in U.S. history to coach his team at a World Cup. Great, you hired him. You made that choice. These are, let's have a resume for once into the most momentous occasion in, well, maybe second most, because the last World Cup was pretty special, jump-started a league that has grown incredibly well. But it's just such a big opportunity. And let's have a resume. Let's have a serial winner. Let's have someone who's invested in the job. And I actually, maybe it's me being outside of the box, when you're talking about less than 2 years in a job, I mean, besides Klopp, every single one of those managers has been fired in a job in the last, or left a job after a season, after a half season. It's how managers have been working lately, unfortunately. So I don't know who, I mean, I think about Matt Crocker. I'm like, oh, is your fallback option Graham Potter? But aside from that, just because me and the Seagulls, I think this is a real opportunity. I think you're telling them, look, this is for a year and a half. You want to stay on afterwards? Sure, we'll talk about it. But what do you need to take this job? I just don't have the confidence that they'll do it. I don't think they have the confidence to hire someone who might say to them, we're not calling this the Continental Classico. You're friendly against Brazil. I don't think they have the confidence to say, no, listen, we're going to the Gold Cup and we have to get ready for a World Cup. We're bringing our A team. I don't think they have the confidence to hire someone that when they say no to him, he tells people they say no and might leave. That's what I'm scared of.
You know who is the perfect guy? And I don't know if he would leave his current job, but Carlo Ancelotti for me. Yeah. And we know he loves a good time in the US. Where was he recently? Montana. Yeah. So maybe doing a bit of scouting. I'm just saying, if for whatever reason, Real Madrid, the project, if that was, come to an end after winning another Champions League, this is the time now to do that, it would feel like. And he would be the perfect coach to everybody be behind, his experience, how respected he is. And for this young team to see what he's just done at Real Madrid and sort of blend the youth and experience, for me, that would be the perfect hire at the perfect time in his managerial career if he fancies a bit of a change from Real Madrid. And that's a big if, by the way, because they're probably going to be favourites to win the Champions League again next season. But that would be my choice. Andy, aside from picking names, what do you actually want to see from this next hire? What are the expectations? We talked about this the other day, but quite simply, it has to be to get to the World Cup in 2026, being like, wow, we're going to go to at least the quarterfinals. And, if we get a bit of luck, we can go further. But that shouldn't be outlandish with this team, the quality they have 2 years on from now, if they're all behind a coach and have a clear idea.
Yeah, the thing that I want to see from this process, not so much who the hire is, and we've kind of already talked about it. Maybe this one word sums it all up: is I want to see ambition from U.S. soccer,
Yeah,
and
100%.
I want to not miss out on a transformational opportunity for the sport in the country over. I don't know if there's financial limitations on what they can pay this manager. $4 or $5 million difference, maybe. If it comes down to that, and then we settle for someone who is not the first option, and that is the reason, boys, we're going to have a lot of conversations about U.S. soccer and who runs it and how it operates and all of these things, because that is their job right there. And if they don't go after with belief and confidence in their checkbooks, of course, someone, and that's not to say it has to be Klopp, but someone of that ilk, someone that it does feel like that's a good fit, though. Like, we're not just saying this because Jurgen Klopp is the name Jurgen Klopp. Someone that can take the program to those heights. If they don't do it, I'll be really disappointed. So, ambition, please just be ambitious, U.S. soccer.
Yeah, somebody buy Matt Crocker a watch. When he looks at it, all it says is now, because that is the time. This is the time to really just go after it. And you're never going to get a better opportunity than this to make a huge splash on home soil in the World Cup, and at least put yourself in a position to try and achieve something great and inspire a nation, a whole generation of new fans. This is now. This is now or never for US soccer in the build up to this World Cup. So, Nick, any final words for you on this situation? What do you want to see?
I want to see not Frank Lampard. Let's just want to put that out there. I want to see not someone who has a name and no background. You know, obviously Klinsmann would have been the right call. Kidding, of course. But I don't want Bruce. It's all about what I don't want. There's so many names I will say, okay, let's do this. Don't bring me Bruce Arena. Don't bring me even guys that I've loved. I mean, what was it, 5 years ago? The three of us were talking. I probably would have told you, maybe it's the time to give Peter Vermees the chance. Like, just don't go to the well. Don't go to the well. Somebody's out there. Again, think about the jobs. We love our jobs here. But think about the jobs that you would take if it was like, you know what, this would be the last job for your life, or I need you to do this for the next 2 years. There are people out there. Find those people. Don't be boring. Show your ambition. Because you made the point, and I thought about it. I don't want to say I would walk away. I'll always root for the national team. But if they blow this, the World Cup cycle, who they hire, I can't see myself having the passion for the program that I've had for a solid 25 years since I was writing one-off articles for Sam's Army, pre-AO. So, yeah, don't blow it. Don't blow it.
Yeah. Huge opportunity here, and US Soccer has to get it right with this hire for the next USMNT head coach. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com. We'll keep you updated of all the candidates, what's going on with US Soccer, who they're looking at as we're entering a new and very important era for the US men's national team. 2 years out from a World Cup on home soil. Whoever comes in now has a huge job on their hands, but this is going to be incredibly, incredibly inspirational if US Soccer can get it right. Fingers crossed they can.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.